Welcome back guys to another Aquatic Stage video. In the previous episode we were focusing on a lot of planning but also just the little basics of the environment so far. And I decided off camera to do a little bit more of the environment since last episode was meant to be about the environment and I ended up doing very little of it. But as you can see now, they are much more defined. So this is going to be the open ocean area here, which might look quite small. I mean, it looks dramatic. It looks quite small, but trust me when I say the actual creature itself is utterly tiny in comparison. But of course, we'll work more on it later on. I've got some quite interesting tricks in mind for this. We're going to have the coral area around here, which again is going to be, again, it looks smaller than it is, but it's going to be very densely packed in terms of fauna, flora, just general environmental, props and such. And of course, we've got the shallows over here, which comes up into a little, very basic beach. Now, of course, it's very temporary. I'm going to be changing the colour of the terrain and all that other kind of stuff later, but like I said, we're just getting the overall basics. Now, on top of that, I have been doing a couple of little experiments, trying a couple of things here and there. First things first is, I changed the colour of the ground, of the dirt, the stones and such. That way it just looks a little bit more underwatery. Obviously it's not going to be perfect, but we're going to close it into it and it at least gives a vibe for now. I wanted to try and have like a bit of a surfacing going on, and I've got to say I'm not really that keen on the current effects here, but I have had some suggestions as to how to change this around and use some other effects, which again, I was gonna say I'll do it in a future video, but we'll have a quick look at it now actually. So currently I'm using a combination of the dappled sunlight, which is flipped upside down, and the ponds are meant to signify, where the ocean actually is, where the water starts and ends. But honestly, I don't really like it. It does look very messy, kind of all over the place, and especially it doesn't render far out. So that's fine, I'm gonna get rid of that for now then. Because I do want that to be like a distinctive beach. That is the one thing a lot of people has been asking for, is land nearby. And it's going to be a small pocket of land, but land nonetheless. And I think it would be cool to have like a bit of a dynamic change in terrain. So, one of the ideas I was given by the folks at the Galactic Adventure Central Discord server, of whom, by the way, are focused on Galactic Adventures, I would highly recommend their server. I was recommending getting these spotlights. And let me see then. Okay, so I'll see what they mean. It does have like a very large flat plane of, plane of colour. But then the issue is though, it's got a great big beam of light just shooting out. So let's just see how that looks like for a second. Okay, so it does make the environment feel a lot more blue. That's definitely a very good thing. Just the light source is just a bit silly. So what happens then if I make my way up the cliff, up onto the beach? I do see, okay, yeah. So it does define the water, but it's a bit too faded in my opinion. And as you can see, it just cuts straight through. It doesn't curve with the planet, unfortunately, so I'd have to have like multiple effects. And that would then, that would then create multiple massive spotlights, which, if the area was partially obscured, I've seen them do this for like windows and such, it's fantastic if the area's obscured. But for a big open area like this, it's not gonna quite work. Let me think. I could just stick to the dappled sunlight alone. I mean, that alone, as you can see, it does still give a bit of a vibe. But then again, as soon as you go above the water, once again, it doesn't really show anything. Another final option I could try is fog. And maybe it could be storming outside. Hence why it's foggy in the first place. So maybe like there could be like a bunch of maybe there's like heavy waves and such, maybe a bit of like torrential waters around here. Although it wouldn't really make much sense, or it would make sense actually, but it wouldn't really be that good to look at. And so it does pierce through, but if it's like a foggy kind of stormy effect going on, that's forgivable. But again though, it doesn't really curve quite well. It's okay though. I mean, like I said guys, we're experimenting. I'm trying to figure out what could work. But I don't think this just yet would work. So let me just go ahead then and remove that big one. Okay, good. Alternatively, in terms of other experiments, one really interesting thing I've noticed, which I think is going to be really cool. So you can see here, if I'm going to have an adventure which is going to be the illusion of being underwater, obviously I'm not going to want water, am I? Because that's going to break the illusion. Well guys, I want you to see something very interesting that I've accidentally, found. So, right now, okay, the ocean just looks, the land just looks like shallow water. It's completely breaking the immersion, okay? We'll have it like that for now. So if I do my usual tricks and make everything a bit more murky, make the atmosphere a lot thicker, a lot more dense, so it's a lot more foggy now, and just temporarily I'm going to set the sunlight on the captain. Can I do that? No? That's fine where it is now. And more importantly, if I change the colour of the water to be the same colour as the sand itself, if I can get about the right shade, it actually kind of looks like that the sand itself is like being drifted, so it no longer looks like a bit of water. I mean, again, that breaks the immersion, so I look at it from this direction here. There you go. So it no longer looks like bits of water, but it looks like shallow bits of sand, or like very, very fine, loose sand being washed around. Which, I don't know, I just thought was really, really cool. So I think that's actually going to be useful. Like, we might be able to abuse that effect later on. Right. Let's go ahead and reset everything to where we were beforehand. Now, I am keeping the sky blue for now. I'm keeping the atmosphere thin for now because I don't need these things to be heavy just yet. I mean, I want to be able to see what I'm doing. If I give it the right atmosphere for the aquatic illusion immediately, we're going to have a very, very hard time seeing what's going on. So, this is fine for now. We'll just fix where the sun is again. There we go. So now it's all nice and bright. And I think that's probably about enough testing, enough, you know, showing off, catching up to speed of what I've been doing so far. Like I said, you can see the general gist right here. It's quite straightforward. So, if we go back to our to-do list from the last episode, we've done our rough environments. Again, very, very basic. We can really flesh out later on. Now we're doing the acts and objectives. That's going to be the basic thing there, which is then the rest of this. So, I wanted to nail that out quickly because, after all, the acts and objectives are going to be the foundation of the stage. That is what the stage actually is the objective. So, of course, that's going to be, like, the highest priority. And it's going to be the thing that takes a while. So, let's just say our creature spawns on the beach, right? It spawns on the shallows. So, the first objectives are to explore your new home, spawn in the shallows, explore, check out the creatures, and find some food. So it's basically going to be just check out the area, like, hey, you're in a aquatic stage, look around. So one of the biggest fundamental things I'm going to be doing a lot throughout this adventure is, rather than going to, say, eat meat, eat leaves, kill creatures and such, it's all going to be revolving around a currency, which of course is DNA. So there's going to be like a lot of DNA hidden everywhere. That's going to be accompanying what the player thinks they're meant to do. For example, if it says, you know, go eat some food, and you find a bit of food, let me demonstrate. This is going to be like the grand example. So let's say I get some meat. The meat is going to be a healing power-up. And that power-up is then going to be disguised as said food. Now that allows me to have the food look like anything. So I could be meat, it could be vegetables, it doesn't matter. It yields the same reward. So, again, example. We now have our meat power-up that is meant to heal you. We'll put that over there. So the player is going to see this big, you know, meat thing, like, oh, okay, I need to go eat. I'm going to go eat that instead. And what we're going to do is we're going to hide a DNA token. That's obviously not how it's going to look, but again, example. And that is going to be the hidden objective. We're going to collect that, and it's going to be hidden. So we now have this really, really tiny thing just hidden there. So when the player goes over to collect, you know, this bit of meat, it'll say, you know, oh, you need some food, go find food. It doesn't matter what it looks like, it's going to heal me. And I've just also collected a piece in the progress. Now what that means is that I can drop these little DNA tokens everywhere. This could be the hidden secret objective, which the player is going to naturally find by doing anything. So perhaps allying a creature will actually give them a token. Perhaps killing a creature might drop the token on the floor, and then again you collect it anyway. Perhaps, for example, maybe what I could theoretically do is, say I have like a bit of a larger creature, maybe it could be a rogue, maybe it could have like multiple hands hidden inside it, hopefully I can make it animate well, and therefore it could be holding, say, 6 tokens. And therefore when you kill this big rogue, hey, you got 6 DNA instead of 1. These are ideas that can come into play later on. It's going to be extremely dynamic, and it's going to be like the overall hidden objective. But before I can do all that, I of course need to have, you know, some basic objectives laid out in the first place. So now that we've gotten the overall fundamental goals out of the way, it is time for us to actually go ahead and build something. And I have to admit, this stage has been quite a bit trickier than I imagined. Due to the fact that, you know, the very first thing that your player is told to do is to go ahead and explore. And since this is a open world environment, I can't just tell the player, oh yeah, go here, go there. I actually have to think about like actual environmental you know, points of interest. I'm really having to think about, okay, I've got to make like neat things that the player is drawn to, that way they can then explore the area. But again, open world, I'm not going to handheld them, I'm not going to tell them where to go. So far I've made like this little cave thing here. I'm actually thinking that perhaps this is where the player spawns from, since I don't know, like I'm very torn, because on the one hand I don't want the player just to like spawn into this world like in the middle of the ocean. It's going to be kind of weird, but then again, I mean, I don't really know what else to do, so I've made this like little cavey sort of area here. It's a bit like, it's a bit dusty per se, not really dusty, more like just foggy, or like perhaps it could be like a spawn or something, I don't know, but that's an idea. This could be one of the areas to explore. I've made, like I placed out a couple of these little things here, a couple of the healing power-ups I was talking about earlier. A couple more of the little cocoons, just there as part of the environment, and of course I've added this big animal carcass. Now this is like a bit of a reference to Ark, but also at the same time, it is a thing in the creature stage where the first thing you come across is a carcass. So it makes sense that perhaps we'd have like some kind of Leviathan carcass or just a bigger creature. Perhaps this could be like a foreboding thing later on that you're going to meet bigger and scarier creatures. And by the way, if you're hearing background noise, I'm sorry, I can't do anything about it, it's just really bad timing. So that's the overall thing I'm going for, but I need to think about more things. I would like for there to be perhaps about 4 or 5 points of interest that a player can explore. I'm avoiding the beach being one of them. Again, it's really hard to tell really, because if we had the captain be a crawler, if it's like a little crawling creature like this, okay, it would be okay for it to go onto the surface and, you know, like, see the big scary creatures or whatever, because that, you know, be immersive. But then if I have like a swimming creature, like one that's actually floating swimming, go to the surface, that's gonna break the immersion immediately. I mean, I'm gonna allow the player to do that anyway, but I'm not sure if I want to force the player to explore upstairs and then forcibly break the immersion. I want them to do it by their own choice. So I'm avoiding that being a point of interest. But so far we've got 2 of them, okay? We have the nest, if we really want the cave to be one, then we've got one there. We've got the carcass. What I'm thinking is I'm going to finally download all of these creations that you guys have gotten. And by the way, if you don't know how, so as you can see, I've got all the PNGs saved here. What I can do if I filter that by just everything, yeah, there you go. If I just select all of that and drag in, it'll freeze because it's over 100 creations, and it will immediately download everything. There you go. So for those of you who didn't know that, really neat and awesome. So is there anything, like right now I'm looking for the more flora type of thing. So we've got like a couple of seaweed here. Got another bit of seaweed there, which is really helpful. So what I need right now is something flora related. That could be a great contender. So could these two. Probably stick with the light coloured one for now. Is there anything else? Right, I think that's all for now. So we'll grab these 2. It won't let me. Okay, that's because I'm on the wrong thing. Alright then. Let's get a yellow gate. Let's get 2 yellow gates here. We'll disguise it. And we'll have the nest, which was one of them. And then we will have the, what was it, the other one? Was a very, I remember it's by Clarac. Okay, so it's by Clarac. It was, there you go, the pretty shell thingy. So how are these gonna look? So that could be like one thing that the player could be drawn to. If I like partially submerge it, like that. Can I get that right? It's a bit tricky. Like I love how it looks, but the blue isn't really helping me right now. I love little creatures actually. I just noticed those creatures. That's really cool. Wow. But yes, if I like have one of these kind of like immersed somewhere. You see, like I said, I love the way it looks, but the blue does, you know, clash quite a lot. But maybe that could be like where the player arrives from. I'm not sure, but it has one like that somewhere. We've also got this other one here. Now that would be a great point of interest. Oh, but would it though? I'd actually rather these things be a part of the environment. You see, this is a tricky part here, guys. This is the really tricky part. I'm trying to think of areas that the player is drawn to, but then these 2 parts are really pretty and I want them to be everywhere. Damn it. Damn, you guys are making lovely things. Right, so I do have an idea then. We're gonna go a little bit more on the Subnautica route. Can I get like some kind of tube or tunnel? Let me see. Is that hollow? This creation? No, it's not. Actually, maybe I should just write tunnel. There we go. I'll get like a temporary one. Just a temporary tunnel for now, like there you go, one of my own ones. And I'll make it pretty later on. So just like in Subnautica, you've got those like very large coral tubes they can go into. I'll have something like that. So perhaps, you know, I think it's safe to say that at least one player out there is gonna be like, ooh, a tunnel, I'm gonna swim through that. So something like that, we can cover it in trees and such, and or more like, you know, seaweeds even. Come on, make it nice and consistent. There you go, just like that for now. And how big is that compared to... Oh, that is massive compared to the player. It's funny, really. A lot of these things are just so much larger than I realise. And I just smacked into it. Great. Okay. We'll finesse that later on. So that could be one point of interest. The carcass could be another one. You know, now that I think about it, I've been sitting here, like, panicking and trying to think of ideas. One neat little idea I did just have that could, like, hit multiple birds with one stone here is to have, like, some kind of tall reeds, like seaweed, that could actually cover part of the water surface. So it could actually be like a bit of a faux surface that indicates where the ocean ends, and it could just be like bits of seaweed there. So come to think of it, is there like perhaps I have like any what's the word, lily pad kind of things going on anywhere? Oh, gonna have beautiful Rosa, but that's not what I'm after though. In fact, Sakiara did make her own undersea adventure a long time ago. So yeah, here we go. She's gonna have like a lot of these various props. There you go, all these props here. In fact, I'm taking that one. Fire coral. I need it. I absolutely need that one. But otherwise, does she have like any kind of large lily pad type of thing going on? I can't see that she does, unfortunately. She does have this here, which is somewhat close-ish to what I had in mind. So if I go ahead and remove those two there, and we've got this big building here. Now, it's going to look a bit artificial. Like, it's going to happen. That is going to be the case, unfortunately. But what I can do with the areas that look artificial like this is just, you know, completely cover them in various types of resources and hope that, well, I say resources like props and such, and hope that I can make it all meld together. So that there could be another idea. So how does that actually look to the player? It looks quite cluttered actually. Now if we can get like that kind of complexity and detail like everywhere, and a lot more on top of it, so that could just be like another area to check out. Can the player actually like, you know, go around inside? Okay, not quite there. I think I was a little bit stuck there actually. Right, let me see. So the player could go and check things out inside. And they can quite happily walk back out as well. So it's not like the player's at any risk of getting stuck. So I could just have like bits of vegetation in here. So yeah, perfect. This could be an area that a player is drawn to. Like, you know, for whatever reason. Get some food. And, you know, they made progress. In fact, as I was trying to find a food prop for it, I did just find this instead. So how would this look combined with it? So this is obviously made out of a creature. Another one by Clarak. And, oh my god, yeah, like that combined together. That looks so good. Now that just like I was saying earlier, if I can use like a different variety of props here and there, merge it all together, my god, that's just beautiful. That's exactly what I was thinking of. So now it really has merged together. We've got like the tough, hard material and the softer reed material all mishmashed in. You see guys, creature statues. Creature statues are amazing. I do have my tutorial if you want to know how to do it yourself. So now a couple of these could even reach the surface and they can just like kind of like wash around. In fact, can I do that right now? Let's just, hypothetically, let's just see what that would look like if I were to do just that and just have like a great big bit just kind of like as if it's being washed out or, you know, dragged along the surface of the water. That it looks a bit silly, but it's definitely an idea. But yes, that's absolutely the kind of thing that I want to be seeing more and more often. Right, so, as I've been recording this and doing all this, I've really come to a conclusion. So I think I may have had my priorities just a little bit backwards. I think I'm going to have to take some time here and build up this environment. That way I can actually make the, you know, explore objectives a thing. So I'm going to have a bit of a play around, I'm going to have a bit of a think. And next episode, we'll actually focus on making the environment, and then we'll flesh out the objectives. Alright then, guys? So, I hope it's been interesting to watch. It's a lot more word heavy than I want, but I'm really trying to fix that. But I hope it's interesting to see, you know, how things can change. How, like, a simple idea, simple thought can actually prove to be quite difficult. And, you know, the hurdles and complications. I hope it's interesting. But if not, well, that's fine. Let me know and I'll try to fix it. I'm definitely trying to make it a bit faster. But guys, thank you very much for watching. As always, don't forget to comment your opinions. They always help. And of course, like and subscribe. It really helps. And I'll catch you all next time. Have a wonderful day and thank you.